Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be going over my picks for Overwatch League's 2020 season week 2. So buckle up and let's talk about what matches we have coming up this weekend on Saturday and Sunday live from Washington, which is of course another new homestand. And once again, there are no other homestands this weekend as they were canceled with the coronavirus situation in China. So let's take a look at what we have going on here in Washington. Here are the matches. Let's jump into it with the first match on Saturday, February 22nd. My big pick game for the weekend, the best game of the weekend, I think by far, the New York Excelsior against the Philadelphia Fusion. The two teams right now with the two best records in the league, both sitting at 2-0 plus 5. Both teams coming off of hosting homestands. New York, of course, had one week 1. Philadelphia had one week 2. So a lot of interesting things from both of these teams. I feel like, in general, the Philadelphia Fusion played the better competition than what the NYXL played. But these two teams actually both, won very handily both times. Fusion had a bit of a tough win against the Justice, and the Justice then kind of made some mistakes in there as well. That gave the Fusion that 3-1 win they got. It's a very close matchup. It's very hard for me to say for sure. I think both these teams look very good. I'm going to pick the Excelsior because I think they are better, ever so slightly, and I have more confidence in them because of that. But I think it could go either way. Obviously, but I think the Excelsior have just the slightest edge, so I'm picking them. Next, on Saturday, February 22nd, of course, the next game is the Boston Uprising taking on the Houston Outlaws. This is a very tough game to pick because the Boston Uprising are bad. The Houston Outlaws are also bad. But I'm going to ride with my power rankings, even if it means the death of me, and I'm going to pick the Houston Outlaws to beat the Boston Uprising. And maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe that's a huge error on my part. Maybe picking the Outlaws to beat the Uprising isn't the right choice. But I put in my power rankings that the Outlaws are better than the Uprising. And this is the Outlaws' chance to prove that they aren't the worst team in the league. We knew that they had some health issues last week, and that was a part of why they struggled, maybe. But I need to see what they can do against a team who is not that good, and that is what the Uprising are. So we'll see what the Outlaws can do, but I'm picking them against my better judgment to beat the Boston Uprising. I like their players better. I think they have more talent. It's just a matter of how they can come together and execute with that talent. And that's why I'm picking them over the Uprising. Next is the Washington Justice taking on the Paris Eternal. For this one, I am picking the Justice. They're playing at home. They played very, very well on Sunday of last week, and they played pretty well on Saturday as well. They had a very strong showing against the Fusion, at least better than I think people would have expected. I think the Fusion played worse than people would have expected, but I thought the Justice in general played pretty well. And the Eternal looked pretty good when they played against London. They didn't look great when they played against Toronto. So that's really the situation that we're in, is kind of who's going to look better of these teams. But overall, I think that the Justice have more talent. I think that they have looked better as a whole. I think that they are a team who have more promise. I don't know when Lulsish is going to be able to play, but I actually thought Roar and Elevote played pretty well together. I don't think they really struggled that much. So this is a match that I think is going to be pretty close, but I'm going to give it to the Justice because I think that they have that home field advantage, and I think that they have just shown more promise throughout the season. The 2 games they've played so far, I think that they looked better than the Eternal. Moving on to Sunday. First match is the New York Excelsior taking on the Houston Outlaws. I am picking the Excelsior for this one. This isn't even a question. Excelsior right now are tied for the best record in the league. The Outlaws have the worst record in the league. It's the top against the bottom. Excelsior win this one pretty easy in my opinion. Next, we have the Toronto Defiant taking on the Philadelphia Fusion. I like the Defiant. I think they looked pretty good when they beat the Paris Eternal. That was, I believe, the first game of the season. So we haven't seen them in a little bit. But the Fusion, I think, are just better as a whole. We've seen a lot from the Fusion so far. We've seen more promise out of the Fusion. I think that they are just the better team right now. So I'm picking them to beat the Defiant because I think that they have what they need to do just that. Final game for the week is the Washington Justice against the London Spitfire. Now, this is another one that I think is pretty easy to pick. The Spitfire looked pretty good against New York, but they didn't look very good against Paris. I think the Justice are the better team, at least right now. And once again, they're at home. They have that advantage going for them, so I'm going to pick the Washington Justice to win this match over the Spitfire. I love what we've seen from Corey the past week. Stratus has been pretty solid. Arc, I think, has been very, very good. Overall, I just think the Washington Justice have looked pretty good. Now, maybe the London Spitfire having a week off will help them out. I don't know. But I'm curious to see what the play is like for these teams that we haven't seen in a week. But also teams that we saw last week, how they kind of prepare for this week and how they play. But I like the Justice in this match. I think they're just overall the better team. So those are all the picks. Obviously, a little short because I only have the one set of picks to make for this week. And next week, once we get to week 5, we'll start getting to the double picks again, the double homestand picks. I think this is the homestand where there's definitely some really interesting games that I'm really excited for. I think Excelsior Fusion is the best game of the week. I think Saturday's lineup is a lot better. I think it's a lot closer in terms of the competition. Even if Uprising Outlaws is two really bad teams, I think it's pretty close competition. Sunday, I think it's pretty one-sided. I think, New York and Philly and Washington are just so much better in the favor in that matchup. Though I guess the Justice and the Spitfire are kind of close together, maybe. It's an interesting week, though. A lot of great matches. We still haven't seen the Atlanta Reign, which is really unfortunate. We don't see them until next week. I would have loved for us to see them play already, but we don't. We don't get to see them until games come week 4 to Houston. So we will wait and see what happens, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to see a pretty good set of matches here this weekend. So I'm excited for those. I hope you are as well. I think it's going to be quite the treat for us. But that is everything that I have for you today. So if you enjoy, consider liking and subscribing, as that really helps out a lot. Let me know down below your thoughts on all of these matches, who you think is going to win, what your biggest thing that you think is going to happen is, all that kind of stuff. I'd love to hear that from you down below. But with all of that, I'm going to get out of here. So once again, thank you for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.